Location Xanadu. Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. Check it out. This is where we're at. We're back here at the same place. Looks a little different. We got more firewood. That helps. We got Jim and Jeff. And sun is dropping. And soon we will start the campfire. It's a little too hot for the campfire so far. But as you can see, we are geared back up. Oh, I don't know. It gets dark quick. But anyway, wish us luck tonight. Well, here we are. We got us some bratwurst going, and we're just chilling. So earlier we were talking about the possibility of Sasquatch. You know, you hear that?
That wasn't no cow. You ain't got some wheeler guys?
I don't know what it is, honestly. I mean, here's the thing. We are from Western Oklahoma. We are not, we're not from around here. So we don't know every single sound that the local critters make. If you dropped us down on the family farm, yes, we would know. But out here, there's too many variables. So we can't say, yes, that was something or that was that. Now, if we did hear something that had the classic volume, chest shaking, scream that you hear about, why, that would definitely be kind of a smoking gun scenario. But no, that off in the distance, I don't know. But we were talking about the possibility of that perhaps Sasquatch are of equal or slightly lesser or slightly greater intelligence when compared to humans. Obviously, they are not a dumb animal, in my opinion, whatever that's worth. Obviously, they have avoided us for this long. They do a very good job of it. Most animals out there, they can be elusive, but they got nothing on the Squatch. And so here's my theory. Everybody tries to talk about how the Squatches are magical, interdimensional, spiritual, which, I'm not against that theory. But I am about using logic. So, here it was again. You hear that?
Yeah, I think that might be the bull or something.
That's cows or something. That's got to be. But anyway, so my philosophy on this is if they are of high intelligence, like a lot of people believe, perhaps they have developed similarly to the way we've developed with our technology. Our technology has brought us some amazing things. And if you was to somehow magically, teleport somebody from 1,000 years ago and plop them right down here in, Mr. Chris's empty chair, which, by the way, Chris, sorry you couldn't make it. We were looking forward to hanging with you, but these things happen. But anyway, back to that was, that person that we teleported forward would look at what we are, everything about us, and they would think that was magic. Everything from, our headlights, our headlamps, our vehicles, our cell phones, our technology, my little instant torch down here that I make coffee with, even our clothes, even the fabric on our clothes would seem like magic to somebody that was born 1,000 years ago, and that's what they knew. Now, on the flip side of that, what if what if Sasquatch was just like us, but instead of choosing to congregate in cities and developing that way, what if he chose nature? And what if his line of technology that he developed over the same period of time, what if it was more nature-based? What if the evolution of their technology resulted in things like infrasound and zapping techniques and, uber stealth mode technology where they've learned how to walk through the woods, and they've learned how to mimic animals, they've learned to be super predators. And that's my theory. People put out a lot of interdimensional interdimensional theories and whatnot, and portals and orbs. But even take something like orbs, and you guys know I've spoken my piece on orbs from time to time. But then again, I've never seen one. But what if the orb thing is part of their technology?
Are you referring to the lights that people normally see with the sightings?
Occasionally there are reports of floating lights that were reported in the presence of squatches.
2 or more?
I'm not aware that there's a specific number, but I've just been told that, and I'm like everybody else. I watch or listen to chronicles and whatnot, and I've never met anybody, but there are, and sometimes you wonder if they're just, writing that into the story to make it sound cooler. I mean, I'm not trying to call anybody a liar, but you take a monster like some of these YouTube platforms, and it becomes a big deal, and there's a whole bunch of subscribers, and there's all this. It begins to become a money or revenue source, and you don't want that to fail, so you kind of got to.
There's not a lot of flair, and there's something making noises, and it's big and hairy. There's no flair.
Yeah, how many times can you tell that same story? I was walking down the trail, and it was walking up the trail towards me. We surprised each other, and I was scared to death, and it looked scared, but then it turned around and walked off. That was my sighting. Well, how many of those are people willing to listen to? And I'm not saying that these people are intentionally out to deceive us on this stuff, but what I am saying is perhaps they tried to ad-lib something in. Yeah. Would that be such a great crime? Well, yes and no. I don't know. But it is possible if these orb things are real, that maybe they're part of that technology. The technology that, just like they don't understand our automobiles and how they work, we don't understand their technology because it's completely foreign to us.
Humans have focused their technology focus towards science and
mechanical, electrical,
and they've done their focus on things of nature.
Maybe Sasquatches know every herbal cure for every disease. It's possible.
Maybe that contributes to their migration.
Maybe that's why we never find dead Sasquatches, is because they never die.
Yeah.
Because they know all the herbal remedies. Think about the essential oils those guys can mix up. I mean, we're digressing a little bit, but I kind of go back to that one. There's a set of, I can't remember. It's based on that book about the lady that grew up with her dad, and the dad had the pet Sasquatch named Fox. And she talked about how later in life he was really old and gray, but I guess he was still in really good shape. And people do report seeing gray Sasquatches. Maybe they're just really old. I don't know. But anyway, maybe that's an answer or a hypothesis that leads to an answer in some of this stuff. Our fire is getting down there, isn't it?
Yeah, it keeps
stoking it a little.
Well, it's for those of you watching, it's our fire is struggling tonight because the humidity is really high and it's supposed to rain.
It did rain.
It did rain prior, and yeah, so everything's kind of wet out here, FYI. So, why I'm wearing the do-rag. Do-whack-a-doo.
You know, you'd mentioned something about YouTube guy, Squatch Ranger.
Ryan?
Yeah, who'd talked about migration routes, and we discussed on our first trip about how these, according to the people down here that interact with them, that these are pretty much local and stay here all year round. And
Mm-hmm.
we'd also discussed, you know, why would they want to migrate? And I guess earlier Jimmy said something about, you know, looking for herbs and different things that grow for different seasons and different areas. And it could also, you know, possibly be just like any other animal who is jockeying for a position, you know, and loses that battle with the big bull, and so he has to go find his make his own way, or
Mm-hmm. A lot of animals are like that.
food sources. They you know, hey, you know, this ain't a big enough area right here to sustain us, and you got to go.
The food thing is probably a big deal. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed about this area is that even though we've got all this wonderful cover, all these oak trees, and you know all this food, all this water, fish, and you know that we've got all this habitat, but man, there's so little animals.
Yeah.
I mean, so far today, I mean, I've seen 0 deer, 0 hogs. I think I saw a couple of squirrels,
Yeah,
which,
like
to be
two
truthful
birds.
with you, I could see squirrels maybe being able to evade a big man. But, yeah, you just don't see them. And I've spent a little bit of time out here now, and during that time, I have only seen 2 does. The whole entire time we're out here in this forest. And so I would say that perhaps when they move around as a type of food management, you know, because like we talked about, if they are stationary here, these pods, I call them pods, these family pods of squatches in this area, if they are stationary and they live here year round, then they can one could probably say that it would deplete food sources. So
Now we're down the road a ways when we were looking for game trails. We saw that broken branch, and right there at that branch, it had a real musty odor. You remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was real.
I really think it was deer. Now I don't really know how much of a must elk put off, or whether there's elk in in this area.
yeah, we're not real familiar with them.
I know it really smelled like a musty odor, like a deer.
Mm-hmm.
But like okay, we're talking about migrating around. Okay, each animal, every different species has a certain range. Normally, the males is a little further range than the females. But why do animals have a range, or why do they? You know, I'm born at this location, but at the end of my life, I'm at this location. Like, how far do animals actually travel, and why? Now, in some families, it's because the family's too big, and you get kicked out of the family. And I don't necessarily think that it also it has entirely to do with food source and lack of food.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's lack of room in the den, You know what I mean? Like with beavers get kicked out of the den because of lack of space in there.
Well, it could be hormones driving them
But
to leave too.
It is also that. But think about this in this theory. I mean, why are animals in the wild, if the habitat's great and everything's great, why would they leave? Well, we're not going to leave. We're not going to roam around. Well, we're all going to stay in this one spot. Well, why do we not have inbred animals running around?
Well, now that does happen because
But not as often as you think. Like, I feel like animals have a natural instinct to, let's say, not breed with family members and to actually go out and find a mate that's not necessarily in the same gene pool as their brothers and sisters. You know?
well,
So I feel
I'm
like
not
they're.
exactly an expert on that.
I'm not an expert on it either, but there's other. Mother Nature has these sixth sense that people don't realize they have, but I feel like it plays a role.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, people have these wild nature, you know, feral instincts.
Hear that?
Finally, I've been waiting
It's
on
about
that.
time the song dogs kicked in.
Well, I was worried that because the cow sound, the bellowing we heard from that direction, normally would sound off some coyotes, and it didn't. So I was concerned about what that noise was, and I was concerned if there was coyotes in this area. That's a lone dog. That's a lonely coyote. That's his buddy.
There they go.
That first one was a loner, though.
Not as big a pack as we have back home.
Oh no, there's hardly any out here.
For those of you watching on the show, when they sound off where we're from, it's like all hell breaks loose.
And they're all around you in 360 degrees.
It's like,
This is actually only in one direction.
yeah, there's not very many of them either.
Lost my rock.
Yeah, maybe you prop it up higher. I think they're done. They just,
Yeah, they're done.
but anyway, back to the point. I think they probably travel for numerous reasons. I think the big thing is you know, when a young male takes a young female and they go off to start a family, it would make sense that maybe they would want to start their own family. It's kind of hard to say.
I think they go caveman and get clubbed over the head and dragged back to the cave.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes, you got to find your own territory, and the theory is when the female starts bearing young, there's going to be a lot more mouths to feed, and that's going to put more strain on the animal population in the area. So maybe they just leave.
You're thinking about human instincts, though, but think about this. I mean, how many
the
males?
food's either there or it's not.
Males don't stick around to raise young, and they don't. There's no mouths to feed, and actually, the mother just starves.
Well, no, there's different theories on that.
Well, the mother would starve, and then until the milk runs out and barely eats, and things like that. I mean, like the animals that we do know about. I mean, the males aren't sticking around, and they're not worried about food source, and that's just a scavenge game.
Well, I don't think that I've heard a lot of stories where people see them in family groups,
or the four at Yellowstone pack hunting or whatever.
Oh God, that video.
What do you think of that?
I think that was legit.
They were so tall and lanky, though. Not barrel-chested like the other.
Well, the one that was down there. Did you hear that? No. The one that's down there off of the North Canadian, with the guys, the ones out there that they supposedly caught on camera with the Lucky Star Casino. It was supposedly kind of tall and skinny.
They got a Lucky Star Sasquatch.
You ain't heard that?
Uh-uh.
Well, now this was several years ago, but supposedly there was a Sasquatch that came up and was digging in the dumpster.
Oh, yeah, I think I did hear about that, but I didn't think it was at Lucky Star.
It was. I think it was at Lucky Star Casino and over there at Concho.
Somebody had a.
the whole migrating topic kind of ties into what we're doing here. Okay, they're looking for food resources, and that's what you're doing here. And I'm sure the viewers are thinking, hey, you guys say you're Northwest Oklahoma Sasquatches. What are you doing southeast? And well, we're gathering information, and we're
Here's the twist, Tom.
it's a lot of our food is right here, and we're gonna be able to. This is gonna pay off for us.
Well,
Because we'll know what to look for, what to hear, and we won't be wasting a lot of time in different areas, because let's face it, the stories that are in Northwest Oklahoma are rare, and so we're gonna have to really we're tuning our game down here so we can.
Well, there's more. There's a larger population here too.
We're being
the
more
chances
effective.
of having an encounter are obviously greater, but the other problem is that people in Northwest Oklahoma don't talk about it. If they see something, they don't tell a soul. And that's part of the problem. Down here in southeastern Oklahoma, when somebody says, like today, you just did that, didn't you? Look at your shirt. Did you get yourself?
A little bit.
Oh. It's a good thing we're camping and not picking up chicks. But down here, like whenever I went down to O'Reilly's. By the way, my car got zapped today. My battery went out. I'm kind of joking, but had to go into town and get a battery from O'Reilly's. And the kid at O'Reilly's noticed that I was from out of town when he pulled up my O'Reilly's account. And he asked me what I was doing down here, and I just told him, I'm squatching, buddy. I said, why don't you just tell me where they're at? I know you're local and you know where they're at, just kind of joking. And he actually kind of gave me a pseudo lead. But the funny thing is he didn't look at me like I was an idiot. He was just like, oh, okay. He's out here looking for Sasquatch. It's like it's a normal thing out here. Now,
Pretty normal,
yeah. You go back to where we're from, and you say the exact same thing to the guy in O'Reilly's, and they're like, holy crap, this guy's a freaking retard.
Yeah, this guy's been huffing some of our
It's
products.
been grazing on the loco weed, But that's the part of the problem is people don't believe that we have squatches in our area. Oh, damn, that's going to be good. Just because we don't have deep, dark forests. So, and that's what we're trying to stop.
Dude, I'm so freaking out by these water jugs.
What was you saying?
We were talking about migration and whether it exists or the possibility of it, but I want to be a skeptic about it, but then you look at the migration of other animals and the vast terrain that they're known to cover, and the migration of mountain lions.
Look at birds.
Yeah, birds, you would expect a great migration, but like jaguars, mountain lions, like big cats, and migrate great distances, but then polar bears are known to migrate greater distances. We don't think about it. The United States really isn't that big compared to Yukon Territory, Canada, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And polar bears up north, I mean, they travel thousands of miles. I mean,
Yeah. Look at whales. I know it's a completely different animal, but
right in the ocean, but polar bears, I'm like they can smell things at great distances and have been known to pick up a scent and follow that scent to the source.
mm-hmm.
Like they can smell a dead seal, I think, from 40 miles away. It's in between like 40 or even more, maybe like almost as I would have guessed as far as 150 miles away.
I don't know about numbers, but I've heard
At great distances, that
Great
are
distances.
mind-boggling and
Yeah.
unbelievable. I would say somewhere between 40 to 150 miles has been proven,
Mhm.
but
And they're huge.
I know that they've tracked polar bears on a great distance of travel up to 2,000 miles.
Well, back to squatches though, you know, you've got your food sources, the possibility that maybe they're traveling in search of herbs or something like that that they need, you know, or finding mates, the young ones and whatnot. But let's just take a minute. And I'm going to digress here and throw a crazy theory out. What if, assuming that squatches are as intelligent as we are, what if they have, humans for centuries have done religious pilgrimages to the Holy Land or whatnot, and what if, like Jesus, the reason why he was born in Bethlehem is because he was commanded to go there and for the census and be counted. What if there's either a Sasquatch religion where they have to go to a certain place every so often to worship, or maybe it's a command appearance?
Elephant graveyard.
Maybe. I know that sounds crazy.
What if there's a place where they go to die?
Now that is something I never thought about. But
Do not elephants do that?
yes, they do. And you know what? That would explain the whole, "Why don't they have any bodies, blah, blah, blah," But there have been reports of people witnessing squatches burying their dead.
With what?
Sticks. Their hands. They just dig holes. What the hell was that?
Cow.
That was a weird one.
I still think they're close by because I just heard some rumbling over there and something walking.
And cattle are all around us. We got wild feral cows around here.
I don't know. Total pain in the butt.
Not one barbed wire fence.
No. Here. You want to listen?
Oh, no, mine.
I do, because I was back here and I see them.
They're nice. They're nice. So, but what if they do a religious pilgrimage every year? What if they have to go to be counted? What if aren't there religions where, the newborn babies have to be presented to the priests or to be blessed and stuff like that? What if, who knows? The possibilities are limitless. Why they might go on migrations, why they might do stuff. It could, and the fact that we have squatches in this area, southeastern Oklahoma, that stay here year round, it doesn't necessarily, you like that, don't you?
I always love these. It's mind blowing.
You put them on, it's like a whole different world.
Maybe
So.
if I'm tracking what you're saying, maybe this is one of the places they migrate to, a hub or something.
Could be.
Is why they're always seen here.
Well, there's not a whole lot of humans here. That helps.
Are you sure? Ho Chi Town's pretty packed today.
Lord. Oh, hey, yeah. I'm going to have to cut that out.
And I'd like to give a shout out to the chicks in the antlers. There's a lot of good looking women in antlers.
Stay up all night listening for Bigfoot. And this is the morning you get. Raining. Well, sadly, thought we had some activity last night, but that was not the case. After some inspection of the areas, we found this sign. Looks like an armadillo was rooting. Can't have it all. Guess we should have put out more Bigfoot bait. Rain squatch pouring. Big old thunder boomers coming in. Looking at the radar, it's kind of spooky. Not sure whether to bail or what. Worst case scenario, might end up spending the night in the car. I don't know. Yeah. Take a look. Well, should we run or should we tough it out? I don't know. We'll probably tough it out. Well, trying to cook in a Dutch oven in the rain. Sucks. Wow. Okay, so just a few minutes ago, we had something happen. I was sitting here, Jeff was sitting in this chair, and we was just talking about, I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about now. And all of a sudden, and Jimmy was over there at the truck, and all of a sudden Jeff jumped like he'd been a jack in the box. He sprung up out of his chair and was like pointing this way, and he saw something black over here, and it ran up the hill. And I know it's kind of hard to tell, but right in here is the crest of a hill. Ran over the hill and disappeared.
A minute or two before that, we heard that.
Yeah, and a minute before that, we heard this weird noise that kind of sounded like maybe a fox squalling, maybe a wounded rabbit or a baby pig or something, but it was coming from down there area. But Jeff had kind of already given us away that we'd seen it, and so I basically stood up and I was focusing on this area, trying to make sure that if there was another set of eyes on here, just in case anything did move, I'd be able to see the movement, maybe get a silhouette. Jeff changed positions and he went down here and started working his way down this way here. And then I would move, and then he would stop, and then I would move down. Jimmy, actually, he grabbed his gun and he flanked the thing, and we was kind of hoping that if it did hunker down, being that it was in broad daylight like this, that maybe Jimmy's flanking it would bust it out of cover and we would have a really good view, but it didn't work out that way, guys. So, anything else you want to add?
I saw black. I saw about, something black, and there's a lot of trees between me and that hill, and so little smaller trees, and I couldn't tell if I was seeing something on the ground or if I was seeing part of something that was black. And it wasn't real quick running, but it was at a good trot.
It made its way pretty quickly up the hill. Well, I could tell. I could tell by the look on your face and your demeanor that you were serious. Like, I knew instantly this was not a joke. Wow. I did not see anything. I don't think Jimmy did either, but anyway.
Could
My-
maybe just been a pig, or but whatever it was.
Well, could have been our target species too.
Yep.
You know.
But it wasn't a calf. We got a lot of calves up and cows around here. It wasn't moving like a calf. It was moving a little more.
Well, them calves
stealthier.
don't get in no hurry neither.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah, that was crazy. The next morning. Yeah, there's the Squatch bait we left out.
Yeah.
Everything pretty soaked. The Dutch oven meal was a pretty sad tragedy, but we kind of ate it anyway. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. Did you have any activity last night?
Well, I was right here, and he was going to his camper for something, and
Mhm.
I just went like that, and right down there, I saw his eyes looking at me. They were shining,
Really?
and I was like, do. And so, it was just like right where that little log or that little branch is down. It's like something was looking over the hill at us.
Uh-huh.
And so we're kind of stepping down there. At one point I told him, I said, I'm a little bit scared to go further, because at nighttime you can't really judge the distance and
Right.
stuff. So we get down there, and
There's
we
sunshine.
find out it was 2 gray foxes,
Really? You got to
Yeah.
see them?
little yearlings or something. Yeah. Then they came up close to the camp while we were
Huh.
starting the fire, and that was about it. And this morning, right at where you could just see that it was transitioning from dark to light. I heard what sounded to me like 4 teenage boys, maybe just over that draw over there, do a coyote call.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's strange.
So I don't know if that was like a send off,
Telling us to get out.
but it was.
Oh, man.
It wasn't coyotes,
You could tell. Well, I noticed, what was it last night? I noticed last night that the coyotes sounded odd. And, being from northwest Oklahoma, I consider myself a connoisseur of the coyote.